Tom, security startup Oxeye has announced a new vulnerability in Golang that's ripe to be exploited. According to their research department, the vulnerability can occur when two different versions of Golang are passing parameters to each other via an HTTP request. The parsing error can allow arguments to be passed through protections and allow unintended access. The vulnerability is aided by the growing adoption of Golang as a programming language of choice for cloud enabled organizations. Oxeye recommends updating Golang to the latest version, 1.17, or sanitizing the queries before they have a chance to be exploited. Tom, is this just another huge exploit?
It's funny that we one of the reasons why this exploit actually came out was because we've tried to do away with these giant monoliths. I actually got a chance to talk to Daniel Abeles, who's the head of research for Oxeye, and it was kind of fascinating because this is a little security startup that's kind of focused on doing Kubernetes security, right? Well, why are they looking at Golang? Well, it turns out that it's kind of fascinating. So the short version is that because of the way that it handles parsed inputs, it used to be that before version 1.17, it would just accept a semicolon in the request, which is not valid. Well, post 1.17, it will throw an error when it sees a semicolon. The problem is that there's a way to get the semicolon to go through with like the way that it parses the query. Okay, doesn't sound like a bad idea, right? Except what happens if there's a version mismatch on the two ends? Like, let's say, for example, the public facing side is running version 1.17 because there's a bug that you need to make sure that people can exploit. But now I can parse that query and pass it through to the backend, which hasn't been upgraded yet because we don't upgrade the stuff on the backend if it's not broken, right? Well, what's going to happen if it gets something that has that semicolon tagged on the end of it? That means you could possibly query for databases that you shouldn't be able to list. And how many times have we seen that where it's like, oh, look, I can just ask for the name of everybody in your database? That couldn't be a problem. So there are ways to stop this. Obviously, upgrade everything to the latest version, which I know kind of sounds a little crazy, like running the latest version of the software will fix the bugs. You can also sanitize your query inputs so that you're not allowing semicolons to happen at all, so that people can't bypass the parsing mechanism. But I talked to him and I said, is this going to be a big deal? Because, it kind of feels like it's kind of a one off thing. And they said, well, when you look at the fact that we're effectively dealing with a green field in the cloud right now, because so many people are just rushing to use Golang as their language of choice for doing a lot of this stuff, you kind of realize that, like, we found all the bugs in C mostly. Because like we've been working with it for so long. So we know all the weird stuff that can happen, especially when we do version upgrades. But we don't have that in Golang because it's effectively like, it's brand new institutional learning. And so companies like Oxeye are super important to be able to keep an eye on this, because how many times have you done something unintentionally? Like, upgrading things is good. But if you don't upgrade all of the things so that they all match, you're opening yourself up to these gaps that could potentially be exploited without your knowledge. And that's why it was really exciting to be able to talk to Dean and the rest of his team from Oxeye, because like that's what they do. I mean, to me, it's funny that a company that has, a few dozen employees, I say a few dozen, and there's quite a few people working there, they have a research department. We need more research departments, especially in security. Like we need people that were willing to go out and say, hey, we're just going to try to break this and see what happens. So bravo to the folks from Oxeye for all their hard work, and I hope that a lot of people out there take this as seriously as it really is.